You guys, I'm so excited to start our new campaign. It's gonna be great.
Yep, I've been looking forward to giving my career a fresh start after my last less than stellar performance evaluation.
All right, your characters all meet up at the Sloshing Boot Tavern, featuring Lair the Bard playing a musical number in the corner.
Really? We're starting in a tavern?
Yeah, I kind of had higher expectations. And a bard playing music? Yeah, that's not cliched. Well, at least we get to have a tavern brawl.
Yeah, but that's not exactly the sort of innovation that's going to drive us to outpace our competitors.
Look, you guys, there's nothing wrong with starting in a tavern.
I agree. I've been playing this game since secondary school, and we always started in taverns. It is a beautiful and wonderful tradition, and there are many fine reasons for doing so.
You know, since we've killed you in the last 3 videos, you'd think you'd shut your mouth already.
Yeah, old man commoner. It's not that starting in a tavern is bad exactly. It's just that it's boring.
And being like every other 9-to-5er who just keeps their head down and puts in their time is no way to jumpstart our career tracks. We need to do something to get the boss's attention!
Oh, come on, be reasonable. How long does a tavern scene even last? Is it really worth the time of our illustrious dungeon master to think of a different way to start a campaign? I've had about enough of this.
Yeah! Stabby time!
Yeah, killing the old man commoner is fun.
But don't forget about all the paperwork our VP is gonna want from us.
You guys, you can't just keep killing him at the end of every single video. You know I'm just gonna bring him back.
It's okay, I got this.
My career track!
Now, Dungeon Master, where were we?
Yeah, you start in a tavern. Welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Lucar, and I've been a Dungeon Master since the very first campaign ever began in a tavern. On this channel, I give practical Dungeon Master advice that you can implement at your game table. Today in the Lair, we're going to be talking about starting your campaign in a tavern or not. You see, lots of folks like to get down on starting a campaign in a tavern, talk about how it's all cliched and lame and boring and all that jazz, and they're kind of right. But the fact is, there are lots of good reasons taverns make great starting points, and there are lots of good reasons you might want to start your campaign somewhere else. So today we're gonna delve into this topic, talking about what makes taverns good starting points, and then alternative ways to start your campaign. And on this Friday's live stream here on YouTube, we're going to brainstorm together a massive list of alternative ways to start a campaign besides in a tavern. So come hang out and contribute some cool ideas. Also, don't forget I stream over on Twitch Mondays and Wednesdays, so give me a follow over there for more chill live streams where we hang out, answer questions, and even paint minis together. Why taverns make great starting places. Now, before we crap all over starting in a tavern, let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with starting your campaign in a tavern. They are the default starting place for a slew of reasons, and I myself usually use a tavern to kick off a new campaign. In fact, I just did so for my Curse of Strahd campaign, which you can watch over on my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair Streams. I'll throw a link to that video below if you're interested in checking it out. First reason to start in a tavern. It makes sense and it's not forced. Historically, taverns have been the main gathering area in societies for people of all types and backgrounds. The bard is there plying his wares. The priest is spreading her faith. The barbarian is getting sloshed after a deadly rampage. Taverns also give players a general feel for the culture in the area, any conflicts that might be present, or any important historical events the characters might know about. For instance, in my Curse of Strahd campaign, I emphasized that the tavern was in New Rassalantar that had been rebuilt built a couple decades ago after being razed to the ground by an army of giants. You see, the player's previous characters in my Sword Coast Guard campaign had failed to prevent that army of giants from destroying the original Rasalantar. So, this was a great opportunity to show the players how the world had progressed since their last campaign and to tie together those 2 points in the campaign's timeline. I also set the stage and tone for the current campaign by explaining how a thick fog was creeping over the land, almost forcing them to flee into the safety of the tavern. Conversations also flow naturally in taverns, which makes them a great place for the dungeon master to deliver plot hooks to the players. You overhear a conversation between 2 shadowy figures at the table over. They mention a street corner, a time, and a package. It's in taverns that news and gossip makes its way around the game world. It's in taverns that mercenaries can be found and thus where jobs can be doled out. It's also quite easy to introduce important NPCs to the players while they are sitting in a tavern sipping cold ones. While my Curse of Strahd players sat around a table, having just met each other, the door to the tavern banged open, and a man dressed in lively colors strode in as though just escaping the veritable wall of thick fog just outside the door.
I have a message for you from my master. He bids you come to Barovia at once and promises great treasure as a reward.
Heck yeah, baby!
Doesn't this kind of seem like a trap?
And there you go. The characters meet an important NPC, learn of a quest they might go on, and get a foreshadowing of events to come. The bottom line is that starting in taverns is fairly easy. It helps the dungeon master to accomplish lots of key objectives in the first game session, and it doesn't seem nearly as contrived or forced as alternative methods. So if you want to start your next campaign in a tavern, you have my blessing. Not that you need it or anything. Now, before I discuss alternative ways to start a campaign, I want to turn it over to the Old Man Commoner for a special announcement.
Yes, thank you, Luke. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the wonderful patrons and members who helped me blast into oblivion all of the other characters at the table. Candy Sora, Meepy 670, Dino Fox, Nathan, Dead Lucky, Timothy T, Edward R, Normal Bard, Ranwin, Luke Gray, Sandra Juki, Karen D, Drake H, Trevor M, Lord Humongous, John K, Daniel B, and Penguin Butt. And now, time for a nap.
And if you're interested in becoming a patron and supporting all the free D&D content I create, there's a link to my Patreon down below. Alternative ways to start a campaign. All right, folks, let's do this. If you want to start your campaign in a way that's not a tavern, here are some general suggestions. Now, it's going to be up to you to flesh out the details, but this will get you started. First, important events and large gatherings in the game world. Is the mayor of Rasalantar giving an important announcement to the entire town about the toxic fog in the woods and increased wolf attacks on the outlying farms? Is there a festival, celebration, or masquerade ball happening in the town? Events like these simulate many of the ideal circumstances that make meeting in taverns convenient and useful without the downfall of it being cliched. Any heavily populated area or common meeting place, such as a town square or market, could serve equally well too. Next, start your campaign with action and an exciting event, even combining it with an important event or public gathering. While the mayor is giving that important announcement in the town square, wolves howl from close by, and fog begins to seep out of the sewers and nearby buildings. Suddenly, the characters are forced into a dramatic and interesting event. They must either flee, hopefully not, or try to save the terrified townsfolk from whatever is happening. The masquerade ball is progressing quite nicely when several of the masked attendees strip their masks away and transform into werewolves, servants of Strahd, sent to terrify the villagers of Rasalantar and engulf more of the land into the demiplane of Barovia. The heroes are traveling down the long road when large numbers of colorfully clothed bandits spring from the forest and attack. Despite the characters' valiant struggle, the bandits take them captive in short order. The smiling leader cackles at them before knocking them out, and then the PCs all regain consciousness in the partially submerged prison cells of Castle Ravenloft. Crap! Now that I'm thinking about this, why did I start in a tavern? I mean, these campaign starts sound a lot more interesting, don't they? Just a quick note to my Curse of Strahd players. Yeah, sorry. Maybe we should have a reboot. Now, do these approaches possibly have the downfall of feeling contrived by the Dungeon Master? Does it feel like a setup? Does it feel like a little player agency may have been borrowed by the Dungeon Master? Sure, of course. But holy crap, is it not a lot more exciting than you all meet in a tavern? Don't forget to follow me over on Twitch for some chill live streams where we hang out, talk D&D, and even paint minis together. Let me know how you started your last campaign. Next week, I'll be rebooting my entire Curse of Strahd campaign because I totally pulled a boring start in a tavern scene. But until then, click right here to learn how to make a dungeon. And until next time, let's play D&D and stop starting in taverns.